Great. Okay. My name is Kristen Feathers. I'm the school-based technology specialist, and we're going to be talking about children and technology and just how to help them navigate the digital landscape. So, all right. So I just want to start with a little discussion, and if you're online, hello, welcome. If you're online, feel free to use the chat box too. The first question is, what are some of your biggest concerns about technology? So if you're online, you can type it in the chat box. And if you're in here, anybody want to share something they're concerned about with technology? Uh-huh. Yep. Right. So there's positives and negatives to technology, right? Is there anything in particular that like worries you about technology? No pressure. Like I have a 1-year-old at home, and sometimes I worry that we put on too much TV. Like, is she watching our TV in the background? You know? Somebody said mind changing, like it can affect their brains, maybe. Yep, for kids. And then here's the second question. What are some of technology's strengths? Like some positives that you might see. Everything's at your fingertips. You can literally, like I Google all day long. Anytime I need an answer, I just Google it. Yeah.
From the school standpoint, technology allows us to get information directly to parents. Whereas I'm also a parent, and when things come paper, the flyer doesn't always make it to me through my child's folder.
Right.
So it is nice to think about when there's important information, we can get it to families in a really timely way and make sure you're actually getting it.
So if you couldn't hear that online, Miss Williams is here and she was saying that it's easier to give information to people through technology instead of just paper. And somebody online said it makes everything easier. Let's see. A concern that they're saying is excessive screen time can lead to reduced physical activity. Definitely a possibility. Some sleep problems and maybe impaired social interactions. You guys got it. Uh-huh.
So later it is difficult to learn from other people in person, you know.
Like the social interactions for learning might be harder because they're used to doing it on the screen. That's a good point. Yeah, please do.
Sorry.
I love it. No, keep going. Yeah.
Now sixth grade. The fact that my kids know more about technology and workarounds than I do is definitely a concern. So sometimes
a little scary.
What to look out for,
right?
In order to help support them through what's easy.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's, swinging too tight, but then you're not really sure if you're giving them that relinquishing that part.
That's a really good point. So it's scary when they might know more than you do about technology. Were you going to say something?
Oh, when you're saying with the social interactions, I think it goes both ways. It's a great way to stay connected to people, but at the same time, face-to-face.
Yeah. Yeah, so positives and negatives, right, for everything. And somebody online said it could lead to some laziness or kids not focusing on their work. And then we as parents have to define the definition of excessive screen time, which is perfect. Actually, what we're going to talk about. So here are some benefits and challenges that you might have been thinking or we might have talked about. Somebody said communicating. Right. It's actually easier. Like last night, my 1-year-old was FaceTiming my relative in New Jersey. That's so cool. Otherwise, she would not have even met her before she turned 1. There are new careers that are coming out with technology. We have so much information at our fingertips, right? In school, there's so many new learning tools and they're individualized for the kids. Like we have our kids do Lexia, they take a little quiz. It tells us exactly what they need. And then they get personalized lessons for them. That's something that was not possible 10 years ago, right? But then there are some fears and challenges, and you guys already said some of them. Some others that you might not have said are inappropriate content. We don't always know exactly what our kids see online. There are online predators, online bullying can be a problem too. And just not knowing how much access is the right amount of access for our kids. So we're going to be talking about these today. But the bottom line is that technology is here to stay. So it's estimated that 65% of our kids will end up in careers that don't even exist yet. So whether we like technology or not, it's kind of something that we have to learn how to live with and how to help our kids navigate. Get this chat. So the really important thing is just to think about balance. And we're going to ask ourselves, sorry, my mouse. Okay, ask yourself, is your child physically healthy and sleeping enough? So sleeping was something that somebody brought up, and physically healthy. Sometimes too much screen time can lead to less physical activity. The sleeping enough is actually something that we see in schools. Kids will be tired, and if you ask them, they'll be like, oh, I was playing video games last night, right? If they're too sleepy, then they can't concentrate on the other parts of life. Are they connecting socially with family and friends? So communication can be online or offline. Honestly, both are great. It's just important that they're getting some sort of social interaction. Are they engaged with and achieving in school? So are they happy at school? Are they doing well at school? Are they pursuing interests and hobbies? So some kids might have hobbies on the computer. You can do coding on the computer. That's like a really great hobby for them to get into. But there's also lots of hobbies outside of being online, right? So we want to just make sure that they have a balance. And last one, are they having fun and learning in their use of technology? So think when your child, when it's time to get off the computer, are they fine with it? They go about with their next activity, or are they upset? Do they come away frustrated, right? That might be a sign that they don't have a good balance with technology and other parts of their life. So if you can answer yes to most of these things, then your child probably is balancing technology and the rest of their life pretty well. If any of these seem like they're a problem for your child, then we're going to talk about them. So these are some just overall guiding principles that can help you find balance with technology. Sorry, I know I'm a little bit in your way. And I am recording too. It'll be up on the school website. So the first one is, yes, the first one is to use technology with your child. So one fear that we have is that maybe we don't know all the content that they're being exposed to, but if you're using it with them, then you know exactly what they're being exposed to, right? Even watching TV is important with them, because then you can point out like real life themes that you're seeing in the show. Like, oh, I noticed that these two kids were arguing over this. Like, what could you do at school, right? So it's a great example of just like a way that they can learn from really simple entertainment. Know your own rules. So now is a good time to just think, what are your rules that you want to have in your house for technology, and be really consistent with them with your kids because they're still young. Set expectations, and you can rehearse ahead of time. So if you're giving your child 30 minutes of screen time before they even turn on the iPad or the TV, you can say, we're going to watch this for 30 minutes and we're going to set a timer. And what are you going to do at the end of the 30 minutes? Let's practice. Like, where are we going to put the iPad? How will we turn off the TV? So that they know the expectations ahead of time. We actually do that at school too, right? Before we play any sort of like math game or anything, we go through everything about the game and how to clean it up, just so that they know exactly what's coming. Encourage creation as well as consumption. So there's two types of online content. There's consumption, which is what kids get a lot, which is where they're just sitting and watching something and getting the information. And that's not a bad thing, but a better use of technology is creation, which is where they're making something. And I will show you some websites later that they can use to be more critical and creative thinkers when they're online. But just for now, think about, is your child mostly just sitting and watching TV or like watching videos on YouTube? Or are they actually like making something or doing something on the laptop or the iPad? Talk about digital citizenship. I'll go more into that later, but that's something we talk about at school. And if you talk about it at home too, then they're getting it from all sides. It's basically just like being a good person, not just in real life, but on the computer too. And then the last one is be a good role model. And as I was making this presentation, this was something I was thinking about because sometimes if my daughter is playing by herself, I'm just sitting and scrolling on my phone. I'm like, she's good to go. She doesn't need me, but it's just something to think about that maybe I don't want to do that every time, right? Because then she's learning that that's okay to do. All right. So one question that comes up a lot is how much screen time is appropriate? And unfortunately, I don't have like an exact answer for you because for pre-K and K, they recommend 1 hour daily, but for 6-year-olds and up, so like first grade and up, there's no exact time that is recommended, but it's more about the type of technology and how they're consuming the technology. So is it meaningful or again, are they just like sitting and watching something mindlessly? So I would encourage you to think instead of screen time, think about quality media. What are they doing on the technology? What are they watching? So among 0 to 8-year-olds, 73% of their daily screen time is actually just spent watching TV or videos. A lot of our kids like YouTube a lot. Do your kids like YouTube? Yeah. So that is like a really good place to start when you're thinking about meaningful technology for your kids. Think about the videos that they're watching. So you can be choosy. You don't have to let them watch everything, right? Here's an example. So this is a screenshot from Netflix and then from the kids version of Amazon Prime. Just take a minute to look at it and think like, what are some differences that you're noticing? And people online can put stuff in the chat. Oh, somebody said their doctor recommended for 6 years old and up, no more than 2 hours. So that's a good,
A day.
yes. Yeah. All right, so anybody notice?
Does that include the quality that they get at school?
Yeah, total.
Total.
Mhm.
So if they get half an hour a day here, so
Mhm.
an hour and a half.
Yeah, but that's just one person's doctor. Common Sense, which is where I got this presentation from and what we use a lot at school, doesn't have a specific amount of time. It's more just about the quality media. So I would hope that what they're getting at school is quality. And then you would just think about the part at home. Yeah.
And it's 30 minutes for first graders.
For first graders, it depends. So they're doing Lexia and ST Math mostly, but then sometimes they are doing like special projects. Like last year, our first graders made books on Book Creator, things like that. So I can't really give you like a specific, every day they're doing 30 minutes, but they're definitely not on the laptops just like all day or anything. It's for specific reasons. Yeah. Okay, anybody notice anything about our videos? I know I'm in your way.
It's
Uh-huh.
it looks like there's audiobooks.
Oh, yes. So like if you give a mouse a cookie, I guess I can't walk away from the screen. And The Snowy Day, those are books, right? That our kids can read just in audio form. They might even, I think they're videos too. So they have like little illustrations going. Mhm. I'm also just noticing, at least for me, I haven't watched the shows on the left, but they look a little bit like older, maybe scarier. The shows on the right are all like Disney or Pixar movies. And so I feel like the content is a little safer. But in general, were you gonna share? Elizabeth, you looked like you were.
Parents speaking.
Please do. Yeah.
Like noticing that on the kid filters, they tend to be animated type active like things, and you started to highlight it. Is there is a difference between Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and SpongeBob, right? Just thinking about the pace of how fast the scenes move, thinking about whether the content is learning content or not. And so even when we think about filters and or age ratings, as a parent, it's still good to know what the content is, because what you as a parent might not think is appropriate for your child at this point in time, the rating might say, oh, it's general and good.
Mhm.
So just even being aware of the content, even in just cartoon-like type things is important to kind of to know.
Yeah. And actually this website, Common Sense, I can show everyone at the end of the presentation, but you can type in any show that your child watches and they have like a description and their rating of it. So it's a really good tool. In general though, some things you can think about when you're trying to pick TV shows for your child is just appropriateness. Like what is your child ready for? And the best way you can know that is to watch the show with them, at least the first time. Interests, so like, are they interested in that show? Or is it something that you're trying to get them interested in? That can be good too. Privacy and safety. So like YouTube, for example, has a lot of ads in their videos and those ads aren't always child appropriate, even if the video is for children. And then what do experts say? So you could go to that Common Sense website and find out. And then the last one is educational value. So of course, not everything that your child watches has to be educational. I know I don't watch only educational things, but if you're looking for quality screen time, watching educational shows is really great. And that's not to say that Netflix is bad. There's lots of great shows on Netflix that are educational. But just to say that it's important to be choosy what our children are consuming. All right. Oh, sure. For whole health, I think it's important to understand how long they're looking at screens in school. The dependence on tech in school is significant, and even if it's meaningful, it still affects eyesight and social skills. Yes, definitely. We need to be able to balance that at home. And it's hard to do that without knowing how long they are online at school. I totally agree. So the issue is that it really is dependent on the day and the week and the teacher. So I would encourage, if you're wondering how much your child is online at school, to just reach out directly to their teacher and find out. But just keep in mind that like they can give you an estimate, but it does change day to day. You can also talk to your child about it if they're old enough to tell you what they did at school, which probably everyone is. They can tell you like, oh, I went on Lexia today, or I did SD Math today, or I did Book Creator today. What is the name of the website? Common Sense.
But the max is not more than 30 minutes, right? Is that standard?
Well, it just depends because if they're doing like a project in science and social studies where they're creating like a research book, right? Like they're researching a topic and then they're making a book on it, then they might go over 30 minutes because they're using the computer to like go on Pebble Go, research like their animal, for example, right? And then they're creating and publishing an online book. So it might like on that day, it could be more than 30 minutes.
Yeah, my child doesn't say that to me.
Yeah, it's also the beginning of the year.
Okay.
That's more like an end of the year project for first grade. Yes, I don't think that if you have a first grader, I would say they're probably not online more than 30 minutes. No, you're good.
Okay.
Yes. But I would really encourage you to just reach out to their teacher. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So then the other like main form of media that our kids use is apps, right? So they're like on their iPad or their tablet and they're doing apps. And so these are some guidelines to help you choose good apps for them to use. Some questions to think about are, were educators involved in making it? So if an educator is involved, then probably it gives them feedback right away. So if they answer a question wrong or they do a level wrong, the app would give them feedback. That's like what our programs do at school. Is it age appropriate? So there's no ads in it. It's not asking the kids to purchase something. It's not giving them inappropriate content. Does it offer an experience that's hard to replicate offline? So is it something that they could just do on paper just as easily? Then they probably don't need the iPad or the tablet for that, right? But if it's something totally different, then that is great for them to use the tablet for. And then the last one is, are there ways to transfer it to the real world? And this is our student links page. You can find this on the BMP website. It's like right front and center. These websites are all websites that we think are great, and a lot of them do encourage creation over consumption, especially like those last two categories. So Book Creator is the one that I was just talking about, and your kids can actually do this at home. They don't need to be at school. They can make an online book about anything that they want. Wixie is very similar, but it's like for younger kids, they can make things on there. Typing Club is awesome. They have programs to teach them how to type. They also have programs to talk about like digital citizenship and digital literacy. So those are just some recommendations. And then last, I wanted to talk about social media. This is more for like the older kids at our school, not really first grade, but you'll need it. You'll need to know at some point, right? So looking at the graphic more on the left, that says tweens, if you can't see, so like our 4th and 5th graders, they found that boys are spending their time on video games and girls are spending their time on social media. So it's just an important thing to keep in mind. Here are some of the social media sites that our kids are on, and kids tend to use more than one platform. And a lot of kids will actually just go on it and just watch and read other people's things, not actually post themselves, but sometimes they are. So TikTok is, they're making videos on there. Roblox is actually a game, but it has a chat feature. And so the kids like get each other's names on Roblox and chat with each other. Instagram, you can post pictures and videos. Snapchat, this one's tricky because you can send pictures and then they disappear. But of course, we know that things never disappear from online, but to the kids' eyes, they disappear. YouTube, you can watch videos. The problem with YouTube is that we don't know what ads the kids are getting. And sometimes when a video stops, it just automatically goes to another video, and that one might not be age appropriate. Be Real is another one where they're posting pictures and then it disappears. And then Facebook, we probably all know what Facebook is. I think our kids aren't really using Facebook as much, but just wanted to highlight it there. So in general, when you're thinking about social media, these are some red flags to keep in mind. It's not that social media is inherently bad. Kids are just craving a social connection, which is the same thing that we all did when we were kids. But it's a little trickier because things like pictures disappearing and everything that they put on there is forever. So some red flags that you can keep in mind is the social media platform giving age inappropriate content? So are they able to see things that we don't want them to see? Probably don't want them to use that app at all. Does it just automatically go to public? So when you sign up for an Instagram account, it's automatically set to public. And so you can go in and change it to private. But that's just a good reminder that any app your child is using, you might want to go into it before they start using it and make sure it's set up exactly as you want it to be set up. Does it track their location? And are they doing video streaming? Our kids are probably too young to be doing video streaming. They don't really have like impulse control yet, and we don't know what they might say on there. Another one is, does it ask for in-app purchases or ads? Does it do a temporary picture? So like Snapchat or Be Real. Kids don't really tend to understand that those pictures are able to be found forever. So that would be something you'd want to talk about with them. And then the last three are all kind of the same and come and go with cyberbullying, which we're going to talk about next. Oh, I just wanted to show you that you can change the privacy settings on social media through the app, but you can also change it directly on a cell phone. If your kids have cell phones, you can find the app in their settings and you can change it. Oh, we gotta, okay. So cyberbullying. When kids are on the computer, sometimes they forget that they're talking to a real person. And so we really want to teach them that there is a real person behind the screen and the things that you're saying are there forever. And we teach them that at school, but if you also can talk about it with them at home, then they're getting it even more. The good news is that cyberbullying actually is not that big. So this is a study of like all the way through high school, and it said only 15% of students had experienced any form of cyberbullying at some point. However, if they do experience it, it's traumatic, right? It's like a really big deal to them. So we want to make sure that that's not happening at our school. And so here are some things that you can do, even if you have a first grader, right? They're going to get there at some point. So it's good to start talking about things like this now and just to remind them. Yes, please go ahead. Yes. Uh-huh.
Was have to be like this, or like this, or, you know.
Right, like they want to be like a certain way based on like what they see online. So I would say it's good to start talking to them about it now when they're open, and because I feel like most of our kids, right, are like willing to talk to their parents right now. So if you start talking about it with them now, then it won't be as big of a deal as they get older. Yes.
Bullying and cyberbullying.
Yes.
To first graders.
Uh-huh. Yes, we do. So yeah, start early. Start now when they're willing to talk to you and they're open. You can talk through different scenarios and strategies. So that would look like, hey, if you're on Roblox and someone says something mean to you in the chat, what do you think you would do? I would do this, right? Stay involved. So if you're watching them do Roblox or you're doing Roblox with them, then you'll be able to catch it right as somebody says something mean to them, and you can help them work through that situation. Set limits. So, if they're getting bullied on TikTok, maybe TikTok is not right for them right now. Maybe it's too old for them. It's okay to say no. And be a role model. So if you notice something online, if you're on Facebook and you notice people being mean to each other, I see that all the time. You can tell your kids about it. You can be like, wow, I noticed that this person was bullying somebody online. They were cyberbullying. What do you think I should do? And we actually talk about this at school. So this is our digital citizenship curriculum. It has 8 different components, and some we do more than others. Cyberbullying is for sure a big one. And all of this is available on Common Sense's website, and you can talk about these things at home as well. We actually have Digital Citizenship Week coming up. It's the 2nd week in October, and we're going to have like a spirit week for it, and we'll talk about it on the morning news. So that would be a really good time to talk about it with your kids at home, because they should come home and say like, oh, we talked about this today at school. And then that's a great time to have that family discussion. So in total, you got this. I know it's hard and it's kind of scary, but everybody's doing it. Everybody's in it together and experiencing the same challenges. The important thing is just start now, be open with your kids, talk to them about it, and it'll be okay. And I also have this planner if you would like. Sorry to the people online, I do not have it, but if you want, I can maybe send it home with your child if you fill out the attendance form. But it will just help you kind of think through what you want technology use to look like in your house and make a plan and then go through it with your children. So I would love it if you guys could complete the attendance form, especially online people, because then I can send this home with your child. If you can't scan the QR code, you can also just type in the tiny URL. And then I'm here for any questions that you might have.
What's the process of, tackling bullying here? So if my child comes home and tells me this boy, he's calling me stupid and keeps chasing me up the playground, and so I give, I talk to my child, I give my child, maybe a week just to process it together as a family, and I contact the teacher.
Right.
And then after that, what happens if the behavior doesn't stop, especially if my child, and this is not happening, this is just like.
Yeah, just hypothetical. Yes.
You're right, so that way, like, my husband and I have like a plan.
Sure.
To move forward, because some kids are just mean.
Yeah.
And we're not here, my husband and I are not here with her to police her and to, help her out, because she needs skills and tools to do it on her own.
For sure. Can I pass that off to Miss Floyd or Miss Williams?
If there's an instance where you feel like you have to set your student up for, those skills to advocate for themselves and talk to the teacher, and you do feel like there is a situation still persisting,